There's the product that I'm using. It's a Froth Pack 650. Used this the last time. It works pretty good. I got this from Industrial Supplies. They're down in Louisiana. They take my farm tax ID to remove sales tax, and they have free shipping on this, even though it's a lot of weight. So I thought that was a pretty good deal. It's expensive, but it's not as expensive as the quote I got for someone else to do it. In fact, buying these is about half price, but I've got to do it myself, of course. So the things that I've learned, I went ahead and swept the walls, blew everything out. I've got plastic drop cloths on the floor. These shipping containers have pressure equalization valves up here, basically, or air vents. So I covered them with duct tape, and then to be able to find them, I've got some Dixie cups that I just taped over them. This is something I wish I'd done the first time. I had to try to find them and then scrape them and clean out the foam that got in there. It was just a mess. Something neat that I'm doing, I've got some Bible verses written on the walls. A lot of them are talking about the land of milk and honey and things like that. Thought that was a neat idea. I'll be the only one that knows they're there. Well, I guess except you guys, if you actually watch this. So this stuff has got to be applied when the tanks are between 75 and 90 degrees. It's 86 right now. It got down to 70 last night. And I imagine they're in the acceptable range now. But I'm not real sure how long this is going to take. And once you start, if you stop spraying for 30 seconds, you have to replace the nozzle. So when you get going with this, when I'm taped up in the suit and ready to go, I want to get all of it done. And I've got to pick my son up from school this afternoon, so I think I'll just wait until I get him home and have several hours to dedicate to it, a big block of time. I'll come out here and get it done then, and then let it air out for a few days before I do anything else in here. It's hot in there. You can see I got some instructions stuck to my feet. Overall, this thing worked pretty good. I had to retape. I did have a little bit of foam get on my wrist. Last time that happened, it took about a month to get it off. So you can see what it looks like now. That went pretty well. But with this thing catching full sun in the afternoon on this side, I think it's going to take more than that. So again, this should eliminate condensation, allow me to build in there and keep it dry, and we'll add some R value. So all that's good. Eventually I'll want to get some shade over here, and that would help quite a bit. That would help more than anything, I bet. Glad this is done. I don't enjoy doing this, but for half the price of a professional to do it, you know, it took me an hour and a half, something like that. So that's not too bad. Not too bad. Well, I just got my gloves off. You can see that those nitrile gloves don't breathe. I look like I've been in a pool for 4 hours. Crazy. So I've got the spray foam in the container, and I'm working on flooring now. I've put a lot of thought into this. The floors in these containers is 1.5 inches, 2 layers of marine grade plywood. And that's a good floor, but it's not ant proof and it has no insulation. I've actually gotten carpenter ants coming through the floor in my other one last year, and you just got to deal with that. So what I'm doing is I'm padding the floor with 2 inches of blue foam and then sheathing it with Advantech. Building materials are crazy right now. Advantech's $80 a sheet, but I think it's the best material for this purpose. It's nearly waterproof, and I'll use adhesive on the seams. And that way, you know, even after I put my flooring down, if anything gets through it, it should still be fine. The foam is going to give it about an R10. Shh. Daddy's trying to film, baby. So the foam should give me an R10, and then to deal with ants, I'm actually sprinkling some Spectracide underneath this flooring. Because I don't want carpenter ants to come up through the floor and then dig into the foam and make a colony inside here that's underneath my floor. So if they do come in now, they should hit that later and not make a colony in here. So it should completely seal this floor. I'm using aluminum tape on the foam, so it's going to make a perfect seal in here. The edges, I'll either use Great Stuff or a touch and seal kit or something along those lines to seal those edges and foam it all the way up to the floor level. And then I'll build out from there. I've got a lot of help today. I've got really good helpers. Say hi, guys.
Hi. I like this time because it's the best I've ever had.
Hey guys, Nathan from Duck River Honey, and I am beginning to put together my real honey house. Very soon I am going to be bumping against state law here in Tennessee. So I am currently allowed to produce 150 gallons of honey per year without a food manufacturing permit. I don't know why that is specified in gallons instead of pounds, because state law dictates that honey be sold by the pound. Makes no sense, but 150 gallons is about 1,800 pounds of honey depending on the moisture content, the water percentage. So last year I produced 750 pounds from 9 hives. This year I came into spring with 23 hives, so I could be over the limit this year, to be honest. And then next year I'm hoping to come into spring with 40 production colonies. So I should be comfortably over the limit next year. Now there is some variability with this because it's agriculture and it's very weather dependent. It's, you know, how well do the bees make it through winter? What do the nectar flows look like? Do you get late freezes? It's so variable that it's very difficult to control. So I did talk to the state apiarist about this, and he said that, this is paraphrasing, I'm putting it into my words, but basically if you're operating in good faith, then that covers a lot of ground, basically. So if you've got an operation, you produce 120 gallons one year and 160 the next, and then 130 and 145 and 170, you average that out, and you know you're still under that limit, and that accounts for the variability. So operating in good faith, I'm increasing from 23 to hopefully 40, and I want to be over that 1,800 pound limit. So that's what I'm doing. I'm preparing for it, and I want to get my food manufacturing permit, my honey processing facility inspected and all that before next year. So my strategy in this honey house is really a business strategy. I've got a business background, business education. So I look at the upstream, the midstream, and the downstream. Upstream is where does my honey come from? And it's simple to say it comes from bees. The reason I bring this up is because it doesn't have to come from my bees. If I get my food manufacturing permit, which is in the middle of this process, I can buy honey from other beekeepers. I can process honey for other beekeepers, and it become a legitimate legal product. So I'm looking at the upstream where honey comes from. The bottleneck is really this permit. If I can get over this hurdle, then that allows me to build up my supply, and it allows me to build up my customer base, which is retail clients. And I've got to have this permit to be able to do that. And if I can get over this hurdle with as little cost as possible, then that allows me to invest my money directly into cash flow, into building my supply and building my demand. So that is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get over this hurdle as inexpensively as I possibly can. My operation will not support or justify, let's say justify. My operation will not justify building a 40 by 60 building with high sides and concrete floor. I can't justify spending that kind of money on something. And I don't have a garage or a basement or anything like that that I can use. I don't have a building that I can turn into a honey house. So what I've got here is a 40-foot high cube shipping container. That means it's 8 feet wide, 9'6" tall, on the outside anyway, and it's 40 feet long. So this is actually my second shipping container. My first one I got last year, it's a 20-footer. It is too small for the operation I've got now. And to actually get a permitted facility, I'm just going to need some more square footage. The good thing the thing that I really like about the shipping containers is the flexibility and the modularity. My other one is actually 200 or 300 yards away at another electrical service right now, and it's next to a grain bin that we had electric service at. So I'm actually having it moved today. I'm having it moved over here. That's what I love about shipping containers. If I outgrow the things, I can buy another one and just keep adding to them. And then if my operation says you need a building, well, I can sell the things and have them hauled off. So I really like that. Or I can repurpose them. You know, they're great for storing honey supers, storing equipment, storing whatever. I can insulate them and use them as a drying room or a kiln for my sawmill. I can dry lumber in them. There's just a lot of things I can use these for. And again, if I don't need them any longer, they can leave within a week. You know, I can sell these things and have them out of here. So where I'm at with this project right now and what I've got to do, the requirements for a honey house, I've been talking with Tennessee Department of Agriculture. I've got to have 3 sinks in here. I've got to have at least a 2-bay equipment sink, a 2 or 3-bay equipment sink. I've got to have a mop sink. I've got to have a hand sink. I've got to have water and hot water. They're going to measure the temperature, so I think the equipment sink's got to be over 110 or 120 degrees. I've got to have electric, and I've got to have a trapped floor drain, and the floor drain and the sinks have got to go to a septic tank. So it's just like a house. I need water, electric, and septic. And that stuff is really expensive right now. You know, if you're putting in new service on all that, you're probably looking at 10 grand for this little project. So that's why I have situated this honey house exactly where it is, because before my family bought this property, there was a double wide trailer right over here, and it was moved out years and years ago, and they left the site improvements in the ground. So there's a septic tank already in ground, there's an electric service, and there's water. Already got a water meter. All I've got to do is have this stuff turned on. To get my septic letter, I've got to expose the top of the tank and have it pumped, and the inspector will just look at it and basically say existing, write that on the form and approve it. So having these things in the ground already that I can reuse, drastically reduces my overall cost, and it's a real blessing to be able to hook up to this stuff. So it's early June right now, and I really need to be extracting honey. I need to do a first pull before about June 15th so that I can pull some honey, free up some supers to put back on hives, get some cash flow coming in to help pay some of the expenses, but also I can put my excluders in, and if there's any brood in any of the honey supers, that can emerge, and then when I do my second extraction about July 15th, it'll really speed me up on that extraction. The problem is I don't have water or electric or septic hooked up yet, so this first extraction is going to be I don't know, it's sort of up in the air right now. I'm having my other container moved over here today, so I had to pull everything out of it, and I've got a year's worth of beekeeping accumulation in there. It's amazing. It's like there's a hobo living in there. There's so much stuff. It's ridiculous. Had to move all of that stuff into this one so I can empty it, get it over here, and then I've got to put in a hose bib and get my electric turned on at minimum, and then I can worry about doing my first extraction, probably in the small container, because I've got this portable AC unit that's set up to go into that, and I've got to be able to keep my temperature down when I'm storing honey. So I'll probably do that. I just use a hose bib and extension cords like I did last year, and get my first extraction done, and then worry about building this one out. Now, where I'm at with this one, I've got the spray foam done. That adds some R value, but it's mostly there to remove the chance of condensation. And the floors in here don't have insulation, so you can see I've got 2 inches of foam and then a layer of Advantech on top. And there's cracks around the side, so I'll go around and use canned foam, like Great Stuff, and fill those in. And then the next step is going to be getting power and water. I've got an excavator, a friend with an excavator that's going to come, and we'll trench all that, trench for the septic line, get all the plumbing run, everything into the building, and frame the end wall, and I've got a through wall air conditioner, 240 volt air conditioner, and heater. I got one with a heater on it too, so I've got a single point there. I think that'll work pretty good. As soon as I get water and electric in here and get the air conditioner, then I can get just a cheap utility sink, and probably will be able to move in and do my second extraction in here. And then over the fall and winter, I'll frame the rest of this out, put a man door in the middle so that it just makes it a lot easier to get in and out. Floor drains got to go in, and I'll plumb it, get electric run, and then insulate the walls further, the walls and the ceiling. Really want to get to an R20, R25 in the ceiling total, and an R15, R20 on this side. This side catches a lot of sun. This side's in the shade. This side over here is going to be hot though. And once that's done, I can sheathe everything with polyethylene panels, and I think those will be cheaper than using, I thought about using plywood as sheathing because that's what Bob Benny did when I was talking to him, and it makes sense. You put 3/4 inch plywood up, you can mount stuff anywhere you want to, but it's got to be painted, and plywood's expensive right now. Those polyethylene panels are finished. They don't need to be painted. They're easy to clean, and they're cheaper. So I think I'll probably just end up going that route. So this is going to be a bit of a long-term project. After I get the sheathing and lights and all that stuff, I'll probably put the flooring down at that point. Not super sure what I'm going to use yet. Probably some type of a vinyl tile, or I don't know. It needs to be able to hold up to dolly traffic, and maybe even honey barrels on dollies at some point, which is 600-700 pounds. So it needs to be pretty tough. Well, anyway, guys, I wanted to give you an update on this. If you guys have got any advice for me, you know, I'm not a contractor. I've never built anything. So if you've got advice for me, if you see me making potential mistakes, please let me know. I try to learn enough about things that I can make good decisions up front. I really try to do that, and I look for advice from people who know more than I do, and there's a lot of people that know more about this than me. So I appreciate that. If you have any questions or have anything that you want me to cover or talk about in future videos in this series, let me know that as well down in the comments. I appreciate it, guys. I'll see you on the next one.